Lauren Boebert is obviously fighting to keep a spot in Congress. And as a part of that, she gave an interview to the Washington Post. And there's a lot of fascinating stuff in this. So she talks about the decision to move to another district. And here's how she puts it. She says, I'm not dumb. I knew all the attacks that would come my way, but I talked to God. I asked, how do I address this? Will this be perceived that I'm not fighting? And God said, do you have more faith in your ability to fight or my ability to open a door? And I love the idea of not only narrating what you said to God, but narrating what God said back. I don't think it's up to you, Lauren Boebert. There's a lot in that paragraph that's not up to you. First of all, I'm gonna have to get a second opinion on the first thing that you said. But I love that you are literally speaking for God. And also not just speaking for God, lying for God, because that's not the conversation you had. You looked at the polling, you said, I'm not gonna win if I stay here, or at least it's gonna be too difficult, so I'm gonna leave. You're not willing to be honest, and you're lying about God to cover it. If I were a Christian, that's the sort of thing that I imagine would bother me, but I will leave it to the other Christians to speak to that.
Before we continue with the story, we depend on members to keep on going. Don't wait, click join now on YouTube.
She then talks about the Beetlejuice event. Of course, that's gonna be brought up. She says, people were freaking out about me dancing in the seat at Beetlejuice. Well, they should see me in church. And I'm just gonna have to fact check that.
Oh boy.
I'm not sure that that's what people were freaking out about. But Francesca, was it her dancing in her seat that people had an issue with?
Yeah, I really want to see her in church now. I think she should probably charge for those tapes. I can't imagine just the Holy Ghost is sitting next to her getting an Andy, as we've decided it is now. The Holy Ghost, hell yeah. I do think that it is, and this is good. Look, if you're religious, that's fine. And if you're progressive and you're religious, I'm assuming you don't talk like this. And I'm assuming you are not a xenophobic, again, casually racist or, ardently racist person like Lauren Boebert is. But the way that they just tell you, and they do this all the time, John, God told me this. And so I said, okay. And you're just all right, you sound like a 3-year-old telling me what your imaginary friend told you to kick the ball through your neighbor's window. That's actually what the rest of us hear. And we see you, we see that you just changed districts because you wanted a better chance at winning. And also you're low key admitting that you don't have a fight in you, that you don't have faith in your ability to fight. Nor does God have ability in nor does God have faith in your ability to fight. That's sort of what she said.
Yeah, she's admitting that, and she's also admitting that she doesn't really have much of a relationship with God. Let's say that she actually sometimes prays to God and says stuff, that would be sacred to you. But it's also something that you casually lie about, which implies to me that it's not actually sacred to you. I don't care. I don't think it really means anything, but you pretend to believe that it does. So I'm just pointing out a little bit of inconsistency there. Also, the fact that she was doing more than just dancing in the seat at Beetlejuice, largely irrelevant, I think, to her ability to function as a congresswoman, except insofar as there's a little bit of hypocrisy when she's demonizing gay people existing as a sexual affront to straight people. And meanwhile, she's given, whatever she's doing there. But I also just want to point out, in advance of her winning re-election and representing the 4th district for a few years, do you guys understand that she was facing down the barrel of consequences for the fact that she hasn't delivered as a congresswoman and that she's had all this personal drama? If she wins again, it is gonna tell her, I don't need to change any of that. It's fine that all that stuff happened because I was still rewarded with a seat. So she's gonna go back to doing all the same stuff. And more scandals will arise. Whatever volunteers is interviewed in that piece and says that former volunteers had noticed that she started posting all these weird pictures on Facebook, like she was constantly at frat parties. I don't know exactly what that means, but when they raised concerns to her that it doesn't seem like you're really doing much constituent services or whatever, she just responded with a kissy face emoji, which gives off strong cinema vibes to me. Another person who believed that they could do no wrong because they'd always win anyway. So I'm just saying, Lauren Boebert might well win the battle, but she is going to continue to do stuff that's gonna give rise to other scandals. And you know what? We'll be watching for it. That's all I'm gonna say.